Hey, what's up, y'all? Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's having a wonderful rest of your, or wonderful midweek, I guess. It's Tuesday, isn't it? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. My bad. Thing is, I have Leaving Earth set up right here, so that's what and tomorrow is Leaving Earth, and so hence I said Wednesday. It happens. These are a little bit more intimate and less formal than the playthroughs, I suppose. So there you go. So how's everybody doing today? Hopefully y'all are having a good Wednesday. I raised up the mic a little bit so that I'm not slouching like this, so that I actually am forced to sit up during these. So, all right, let's get started with the Ask the Elephant. By the way, I'm noticing that there are less and less questions, so we're not going to have a Ask the Elephant next month. So we're gonna skip a month and see if the questions build up. I made that decision today, so there will be one in November, not one in October. So get them in now. All right, let's see. What do we have? What am I looking forward to at Essen? Wow, Chip. Let's hit the ground running, shall we? Well, you know what I was doing when I saw you ask that question, and I knew people were going to ask that. I started to go through the Essen preview list, which nope, I haven't yet. And just to make it really simple and to cut some things out, I decided, okay, let's look at 90 minutes plus. So what do we have here? We have Edge of Darkness. Already played that from Essen, or from Gen Con, so there's that. More Suburbia. Teotihuacan and Trismegistus. Right? Bus. Well, if y'all watch the unboxing, I got my copy of Bus. I am excited about the new Leaders and Wonders expansion for Through the Ages. So there's that. I am shocked, I tell you. There is another expansion coming out for Terraforming Mars. I know. You don't believe it either. I know. Glenmore 2. I really dislike the original Glenmore. I'm curious to see how Glenmore 2 turns out. So there's that. The Gugong expansion, I suppose. Maybe Trinidad from GeoChecks. And this still kind of cracks me up. Divulgare Eloquencia, DVE is what we call it. The Deluxe edition. Who was asking for that? I'm curious to see it. I don't know that I need to play it anymore, though. Going through the list here as we go through. And feel free, there might be things that I'm forgetting or overlooking that might be there, but a lot of Talisman coming out. Wow. Maybe Freedom from Phalanx? Pret-a-Porter? Or is it Pret-a-Porter or Pret-a-Portier? But anyway, the new version of that. Definitely looking forward to that. Maybe the Defense of Procyon 3? Maybe. It's the David Turtsey game, which I'm always interested in taking a gander at. The new one from Quinted Games, so Terramara. Obviously, Key Market from Richard Breeze. That's been one of my Grail games, so I'm excited to see that that's back. Okay, now that we've covered that. All right. And Chip also asks, how is my ankle healing? For those that don't know, I fractured my ankle. How long has it been now? 8 weeks or so ago. I rolled my ankle and fractured it. I was in a walking boot for about 5-6 weeks, and now I'm in a brace, which does an excellent job when you wear it. So 3 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, I was around the house, and I'm still very leery about walking right now because I have bad ankles. I've probably rolled my right ankle probably 50 times, maybe 60 over the course of my life. Sometimes, more often than not, I just roll it and, okay, it's fine, no big deal, and just walk it off. Well, ever since I fractured my ankle, it's been very sore still. The ligaments are still healing, but it felt pretty good the other day. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be around the house. I don't need to put my brace on. Walked, rolled my ankle a little bit, and just a little. But as soon as it happened, my first thought was, oh, God, no. And then I was like, kind of looked around, waiting for the pain to come. And I was like, okay, it's not that bad. It was a baby roll. Okay. And then I started to berate myself vocally. Yeah, I'm at the house by myself, yelling at myself, I called myself a lot of names. Stupid, and my favorite 13-letter word that starts with M. And have sworn I will not wear my ankle brace again. And ever since, it's been pretty sore, to be honest. But it was a minor thing, but still, all I did was re-aggravate it. So I set it back a week or two, which is frustrating. I go next week for another follow-up to check on my ankle. It's healing, but yeah, just wear your ankle brace. And I'm going to start physical therapy probably next week and see how that goes. Eric asks, on the board game side, I'd love to hear some early thoughts on the Madeira expansion. I know there's a playthrough coming on Friday. You are correct. Big thank you to Rado, by the way, who linked to our playthrough, or said he was going to link to the playthrough in his video. So appreciate that. And I think I can go ahead and say this because we've agreed to it. The Essen preview show this year on the podcast side of things is going to feature me and Rado. I asked him if he was interested in doing that, and he said, yeah, that'd be fun. So we're going to be recording that next week or two. All right, so there's that. But Madeira. So I've played Madeira a lot. It was episode 1 of the podcast, and we reviewed it then, and it's a game that still holds up. I played Madeira. We played it 4 players, and I played it with... In that 4-player game, 1 player had played the base game, obviously, just assuming the base game, and 2 players that had never played it, 1 that had messed around with it a little bit online, and everybody loved it. Talking about the base game. Add in the expansions. So the expansion is 4 modules, and if you've seen Paul Grogan's video over on Gaming Rules, you know what those are. So when I saw it, I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff here, and then I didn't realize until we actually got started. Oh, wait, those are wooden components for the resources. I'm an idiot. Okay, so it's not so much stuff. The asymmetric start and the way that's kind of a draft is awesome. I'm a really big fan of that one. The second one is the cards. I'm going to double back to that. The cards add a lot of brain power expended on these cards. The third one are all new crown requests, which are more difficult. There are far fewer gimmies in this one, and a lot of them have prerequisites like, okay, you score here, but you don't score there with this. Your ships can't be there. Those won't score, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a fair bit of rules overhead, and every single crown request is different. And it completely replaces all the existing crown requests. And then the fourth one is brand new characters. You know, the 5 people that go into the buildings. You take out the base ones completely and add these in. And they all do all the same things, but they all have small bonuses depending on where you place your die. In addition to that, there is now a pirate that visits the cities, a pirate ship that visits the colonies, and a corsair die, which is a little bit nastier version of a pirate die. So those are the 4 modules in Madeira. And 3 of them I'm a really big fan of, which are the asymmetric start draft thing. I love. That's my favorite far and away. The crown requests are probably my 3rd favorite. The new buildings are my 2nd favorite. And I have zero problem recommending that people implement all of those into their base game if the base game has kind of, if they're looking to spice it up, because the new crown request very much changes the game in a sense that my crown request the ones that I got focused on the colonies in our first game of it. And for the first time, I was struggling in the cities because of the fact that I had so many people in the colonies. I never had that problem as a problem. I never had so many of my people in the colonies. I have 1 or 2. I had like 6 over there because of the way my crown requests went. So that meant I was struggling for resources over in the cities because I didn't have people there. So that was really cool. I appreciate that it basically becomes kind of a new version of Madeira with those. Then there's the cards. The cards are hard, and how they work is everybody starts with one of the cards that focuses on the colonies. And then you draft from a deck and pass the deck to your left. And, so that everybody has 5 cards because the game takes place over 5 rounds. And each of those cards is completely different and has prerequisites. And then they're very tactical goals. They're very short-term goals for this round. But when you're drafting them, you're trying to do so that they have some sort of synergy. And it's really hard. And I don't mean... it's just hard to make it work. As you get more experience with the game, obviously that goes away somewhat. But what I would recommend is if you get the expansion, and I do recommend it because I think it has some really great stuff in here. And it has all the cool wooden components for all the resources, which are really nice. You'll see all this played out on Friday. The cards... Of the 4 that I would recommend implementing, I would recommend implementing the cards last. What I would suggest is implementing the first 3. Cool, no problem. If you're an experienced gamer and you're playing Madeira, you enjoy Madeira, you'll have no problem with that. The cards are the ones that require a lot of brain power investment to make work well. But when they work well, they work really well. And you saw players do that during our game of it, but we didn't make use of all 5 of them. There were rounds where I just punted. I just said, okay, I'm going to play this card because you play 1 of the 5 cards per round, and it's there for the whole round. And a couple of them I was like, yeah, I'm just not even going to bother messing with this because Madeira is a hard enough game to where I just didn't have the bandwidth to be able to do it. We're going to be playing it again tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow night, 4 of us are, and then we're going to stream it on Friday. So overall, I enjoy it. Now, yes, it's a sponsored playthrough, but seeing as this is not the sponsored playthrough, I feel like I can give my honest opinion that I think it's a really great expansion. It all feels familiar except for the cards. All feel familiar and easy enough to understand. You are, and you're going to see this on the stream, you're going to see us referencing the reference book for the specific tiles, the crown request and everything. But that said, the overhead on all of that is not much. The cards is where the overhead kind of comes in, and that's why I would recommend implementing those last. But overall, really high marks. Really enjoyed it. Really dig it. And it's exciting. It breathes fresh air into a game that from 2013 has held up. Here it is 6 years later, still holding up. And the expansion, I think, does a wonderful job of that. So there you go. That was a really long answer. Whew. All right. Sorry about that, but hopefully there's that. Eric, I'll double back on the poker because I'm probably going to go off long on that as well. So I'll tell you what, Eric, if you're still here, ask me that here in about 15 minutes, all right? All right, Dylan says top 6 teas. Ooh, good one. I have gotten really, really to be a really big fan of oolong, but in moderation. I don't want just oolong. Like, it gets a little boring after a while. But I like a really good just standard black tea. I like Earl Grey, oolong. I'm a big fan of Constant Comment. Kind of like an orange pico I enjoy. Yeah. So I guess that's a top 4 or 5. So there you go. Oh, Vincent, going 18:30 on Sunday. Nice. Have fun. Hey, Tony says, okay, what would you do with 750 Alubari promo equipment cards with Davis on it? I would say thank you first. So thank you. And I don't know. We'll figure out. Let's figure out something clever to do with those. Okay. I'm really excited about them. It should be a lot of fun. Thank you again for doing that, Tony. Looking forward to that. I'm sure I'll see you at Essen. Oh, speaking of which, got to find my notes here. Oh, no. I have done a poor job. Give me just a second. I'm going to answer another question along with that. Don't know if they have already updated their stuff. This is awesome. I know this makes really interesting watching. I understand that. I don't think they have. They have not. All right. So people have asked, am I going to Essen? I will be at Essen. I promise you. Board and Dice has kindly offered to share booth space with us. So I will be there a couple hours each day, as well as have all of our merch at Board and Dice. Even if I'm not there, you'll be able to buy it at their booth. I forget what booth number it is. That's what I was trying to look and see if I had in front of me. I don't. It's in Hall 2. It's a big booth. So come and see me then. And yes, the meetup will be 7 or 8 p.m. I have to double check. Friday at Fitzpatrick's. Same as it's been every year. So yes, be there. That is the best and biggest meetup of the year and the one that I'm most excited about every single year. So that said, Tony, we will figure that out, what to do with the Alubari promos. Thank you for that. All right. So we're going heavy on the sponsor playthrough questions. Chris, there's been a lot of discussion on Trismegistus on Slack. What are your thoughts about it, especially in regards to early synergies and luck? Chris, to answer your last question first, and early synergies and luck, there is some, obviously, but I don't feel like I've played the game enough to be able to give a definitive answer on how much that plays into it. I will say that Trismegistus, this is either going to freak you all out or make you all laugh. Or maybe some mix of all of that, and I'm not sure which this is. Trismegistus is harder to play than BIOS Origins. Yep, I said that. And I feel like I am in the best position on the planet of any human being to be able to make that determination, seeing as I've played both games multiple times. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Trismegistus is... It is of the Daniele Tassini games that I've played, the hardest one to play well and the most Vitor Lacerda-esque that I have encountered. And let me give a little bit of context as to what I mean by that. You're going to score points essentially from completing completing experiments is the core of that game in Trismegistus. It's acquiring resources, converting resources to other resources to then complete a recipe, which are the experiments. At its core, that's really what it is. When you complete experiments, you then unlock some of your formulas, which then give you bonus actions, the whole 9 yards. Which, getting those formulas down into your vault unlocks more victory points, etc., etc. But so ultimately, it's about completing experiments. But there's a lot of steps that go into, okay, I have to grab the die, which gives me, I can then spend it to be able to get essence and material, which I then can use to transmute. All of these steps feel a lot like what Vitor Lacerda does in his games, to where he jokes like, okay, you have a worker, you play a card, you do an action, you draw a card. Right. But within that, there are a lot of steps within all of that. And that's kind of what I mean here, that there are a lot of steps between, I understand what I'm trying to do, but getting from step 1 to be able to begin the action to step Q, which is getting my victory points, there's a lot of steps in between. And I'm not saying that it's highly complex. I'm saying that the decision matrix in it is complex, which to me is a good thing. So what are my thoughts on Trismegistus? It's hard. It's hard to play well. I have not played it well yet. And it is a game that I struggle with. It is of a family of games that I struggle with to be able to do well. And that just, not to a point to where I'm frustrated with it. It's a struggle, like I want to get better at doing this. So I'm actually eager to play it more, that type of game. But it's hard. But as you could see, Ken did very, very well. He completely understood it, as does Greg and Jess more so than me, how to go about doing it. And I just struggle with that. But overall, I enjoyed it. Was it... Great, that's going to become a meme now. I just realized I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, internal monologue. Was it ZOMG the greatest game I've ever played? No. Did I enjoy playing it? Yes. Do I want to play it more? Yes. Would I ask to play it more? Yes. Any more than that? It's too early to tell. Randall. Yes, Archipelago. Unfortunately, just due to timing of other games, it's not going to be this side of Essen, Randall, but it will be on my priority list of the old games to get post Essen. So I would say by the end of November is a fair, reasonable expectation. Okay. Tony, it's very wet in the UK. I got stung by wasps 4 times. How do those two things correlate? Because I saw Efka posted a picture of his puppy got stung by a wasp too. Wasps are just bleep holes, aren't they? Like, they're just horrible creatures in general. So, and getting a haircut, I have an appointment tomorrow at 11. So I'm getting a haircut. I promise. It's getting too long. There's somebody locally that really enjoys it longer like this. It's not me. Look at all that gray. Yeah, we're getting a haircut tomorrow. Australia represented. Joe, hey, what's up? Having a great day? Yeah, my bad. Not Wednesday. I know. See? There you go. There you go. Joe, Dragon. It's Wednesday there. I was talking to them. Kurt says, now that less people are complaining about the components of Barrage, weird how that happens. Oh, it's kind of like the thing with Irish Gauge. Chill out, people. Seriously? Breathe. Now that people are not complaining as much about the components of Barrage, people seem pretty happy with the depth of the gameplay. What are your thoughts on Barrage looking back? I enjoyed my plays of it. I don't have a copy of it yet. I'm sure I'll pick one up at Essen. But I'm excited to play it more. We played it a couple times, obviously, leading up to the live stream of it, and haven't played it since because, churn and burn of the show. But I enjoyed it, and that's another game that's hard. A lot of choices, but not as hard for me as some of the previously mentioned games. But yeah, I enjoyed my games of Barrage, and I thought the timing mechanism with the wheel is really cool. I really liked Barrage. I just stepped away from talking about it because people were going just ape crap crazy about the components. I haven't seen them, so I haven't spoken about it. But the gameplay, I've really enjoyed. Welcome, everybody that just joined. And by just joined, I mean like half an hour ago, and I'm just now catching up. If you're unfamiliar with Ask the Elephants, this is usually how it goes. Every single question that gets asked, unless it's something personal and I choose not to answer it, every single question gets answered to the best of my ability. So it takes me a while to work through these. Sometimes they're only an hour, sometimes they're 3 hours. You guys dictate. So that's why I fall so far behind. English breakfast, in case somebody's wondering. JT asks, question. I gather if you're posting, I'm assuming it's a question, JT. What is a PTZ? It's not a PZT. What is a PTZ camera, and how close are we to getting one? What playthroughs would enable it that we don't, or would that enable that we don't get now? Well, I'll answer this out of order. First off, how close are we getting to one? 33 patrons. When that number hits 800, we get a PTZ camera. Why do you guys care about a PTZ camera? Some of you might not. Most of you should, though. All right. You know what? I'm a visual kind of guy. Nope, I'm not going to do it because I'm wearing basketball shorts and I don't want to get ridiculed. So I'm not going to stand up and turn the overhead camera on. Let me talk about it with this one. What is a PTZ camera? It's pan tilt zoom. Why does it matter? Why do I care about getting one? All right, this camera that you guys are watching me on, if I were to zoom in with that camera, right about here is the focus point of that camera, right? So if I were to zoom in, I would zoom in on where my finger is. It would zoom in completely into where my finger is, and you would lose everything that's around the outside as it moves in closer and closer and gets more and more zoomed in on where my finger is in the center point, right? A PTZ camera doesn't do that. It moves. Pan, tilt, zoom. So what it's going to allow, take for instance, High Frontier 4 or other games with large boards or large footprints. What it will allow me to do when I mount it up there, I have a keyboard over here because I am my own producer as well that switches from different scenes, as we call them, between this or, the what we call the all player cam, which has those folks, the two cameras over here, there, to the overhead, the whole 9 yards. This is going to come with its own keyboard. Well, not come with, but I'll have to purchase, but you get the idea. As well as one with a joystick on it. And what that's going to do is once I get everything set up for a live stream, I'm then going to be able to pan, tilt, zoom. So zoom into different aspects of the board. So in High Frontier, it's a massive board, and there are different areas of space that are going to be covered. Some are going to be more important at various times throughout the game. So if somebody is attempting to move into where Saturn is and trying to land on Saturn or somewhere else, just throwing a place. what I could do before the stream starts is I could pre-program, say, 9 to 12 different locations on the board. And then what I do is, we're going to location number 2. I hit number 2 on the keyboard, and then I switch to that scene. And all of a sudden, it zoomed in on that area of the board. So instead of it being super zoomed out and you can't make out, you can't read anything on the board in the whole 9 yards, this would allow us to zoom in on that specific area of a board, a player board, or card, or whatever, and have all of that pre-programmed ahead of time. It would require more work and more time on the front end preparing for the streams, but the payoff, I think, is going to be significant. There's nobody out there that does that or that has the ability to do that, and I am really excited to not only be the first, but to keep pushing the envelope on these live streams. I'm really excited about that. The second thing is if we are able to get a second PTZ camera, I'm going to mount it somewhere so that then we can play block war games, and you will be able to have it a view from my left, kind of over my shoulder, not exactly, but you get the idea of my block, so you'll be able to play from my point of view. Similar idea. So there you go. That's kind of what the next goal is, and that is a really big deal to me, and I'm hoping it's a big deal to folks. So the sooner we get 33 more patrons, the sooner that happens. Although High Frontier 4 is coming very soon. So what may end up happening is I order the PTZ camera, I stream High Frontier 4 with it, and then I send it back if we don't reach that number of patrons. But at least then you'll be able to see exactly what it's, we have in mind for using it for. So there you go. Chip says I'm excited for the Knizia Day stream on November 10th. By the way, my birthday, Marine Corps birthday, my birthday. So I'm spending my birthday streaming that with you guys. What other designers might we get a whole day of? I have no idea. Those were relatively short streams. And Martin thought that would be a fun idea. I liked it, so we said, yeah, let's do it. And we finally found a day that we think will work. So tentatively, that's the day that we're going to be doing that. For those that don't know, if you haven't seen the soft schedule, you can go to heavycardboard.com and check out the calendar on the front page. Scroll down, and you see the soft schedule of content, both podcast as well as on the YouTube channel. So November 10th would be, I'm not sure what order we're going to do them in, but Modern Art, Raw. Oh, shoot. Modern Art, Raw. Oh, Medici. There you go. That's the third one. Yeah, I'm excited about it. What other ones? I don't know. I suppose we could do a Feld Day, maybe something like that. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't given any thought to that, honestly. So what would you recommend, Chip? Dylan, what's your picks for Super Bowl contenders and winner? I'm a Cowboy fan, born and bred Cowboy fan. I was there for the 1-15 season. We beat Washington that year, so it wasn't a completely lost season. I remember Danny White. Anyway. So I'm a tried and true Cowboy fan. That was still a catch by Des Bryant against Green Bay a number of years ago. Anyway, I digress. So I'm pulling for my Cowboys. I think this is the closest we've had to a legit shot in a long time. So I'm going to be a homer and pick my Cowboys. From the AFC, I think it clearly is one of two teams. I mean, it's got to be either the Pats or the Chiefs. How good is Patrick Mahomes look? Wow. Dynasty, he's got to be pick 1-1, right? I mean, that kid looks amazing. Anyway, but the Pats look amazing. But at the same time, they're getting a lot of injuries. I am not a Patriots fan. I I'm not anti-patriot either. I'm glad they got rid of Antonio Brown. Anyway, so you put a gun to my head. I think I think week 12 is a preview of the Super Bowl. Cowboys, Pats. I'll be a homer. I'll pick my Cowboys. There you go. But if you made me put money on it, yeah, I think I still go with that. Although Kansas City is going to be, they're really good, so we'll see. JT, how did 13 days not make the Thinky Fillers list? Just because it didn't make the top 20. My bad. It happens. No, I really enjoyed that game. It happens. Roger, what's the best way to update an address for a shirt order? Send me an email, contact@heavycardboard.com, and tell me the order number and tell me the new address that you want it shipped to, and I will make sure that happens. Is it Make? How do you think about 1880 China? It's been a long time since I played it. I remember thinking it's a really weird one, but I really enjoyed it. Last time I played it, I think, was at Chad's house, PC's house. It was a few years ago, so it's been a while. Be a little rusty. I enjoyed it. I remember that. I have no ill thoughts of it. So it's been too long to be able to give more than that. Sorry. I'm going to butcher this one because it's a Spanish name. Is it Juan? No, it's not Juan. It's Woon. Joan. It's a wa sound. Juan? I think we're going with Juan. We'll try it. Juan, hello from Barcelona. Hello from Wakefield, Massachusetts. Are you playing Cooper Island anytime soon? Oh, you mean that one right there? Uh-huh. You should go check out the calendar. In fact, I will go and do that right now because I don't remember what day it's tentatively scheduled for. Looks like October 4th, Friday. So a week from Friday, we're going to be streaming Cooper Island. We've already played it. Enjoyed our play of it. So I've never played Antics by Fragger Games. But it's one of my kind of grail games. Fragger Games is mostly known for their ridiculously overproduced production of their games. They're not ceramic, but they're that type of material for a lot of their minis. And a lot of their just components, they're way over the top. So Fragger Games is no longer publishing games, but I have a number of their games. But the one that I don't have that I've heard is a legitimately really good game is a game called Antics. And it's all about building up tiles vertically, and the higher a tile, the better the resource type thing that it is. And when I was reading through the rules of Cooper Island, I was like, wow, this really reminds me of that mechanism. Even though I haven't played it, I'm familiar enough with it. It really reminds me of the main mechanism in Antics. And I go to the back of the rule book, and Andreas Oda, he was like, oh, yeah, so the idea of Cooper Island came from during a game day in which we played Antics from Fragger Games. I was like, hey, all right, that felt pretty good. That was pretty cool. Like, I was like, that reminds me of that, and that was the inspiration. So there you go. That is a really, really cool mechanism. And I like that the scoring in Cooper Island is very much not a point salad. It feels like it because you're doing a whole lot of different things. But where you actually get points from, you don't. So you have to remember that you only get points from moving your ships or helm points. And I'll be honest, our first play of it, I was like, oh, right. You only get points from that. And I think I only scored like 18 points. That was not good. I did not win. That said, enjoyed it. The graphic design and everything and the rule book is actually really, really good. Very happy with it overall. The player board is a little smaller than my liking, but yeah, I enjoyed it and looking forward to playing it more. We're going to be playing it on Saturday at Reunity. It's a local small 1-day little convention here in town that we're going to. So no game day at HCHQ, but we're going to be playing it there as well as BIOS Origins to get ready for our live stream of BIOS Origins, which is Sunday. So there you go. Dylan says, very hyped about you and Rado. Would love to hear you go back and forth disagreeing about great games and what makes them great. Maybe down the road. This is going to be strictly a Essen preview show for this one. But yeah, maybe more collaboration down the road. I would like that as well. Richard is a good dude. Aw, aren't you kind, JT? Edward and Rado are like Jordan and Pippen of board games. I don't mind being Scottie Pippen. I'm good with that. 56 or 62? Haven't played either, so I don't know. Can't speak to him. Oof. Robert, tough question. What's your favorite stock game? Not as in like stock, but like stock market game, I assume. I've been playing a lot and loving a lot of Acquire lately, but City of the Big Shoulders really piqued my interest. City of the Big Shoulders I really, really enjoyed, and everybody that's played it has really enjoyed it here locally. Favorite stock game? Habengut would have to be up there. Oh, boy. I mean, 1822 is still my favorite 18XX game, so by default, that would have to be up there. And I think the idea behind, and I haven't played 1817 still. I know. The idea of, I think it's either 1841 or 1849. I can't remember which it is, where companies can start companies. Masters of Venice would also be up there. Really, really keen on that game as well. Not sure. Yeah, I struggle when it comes to the best or favorite of things. So there's a few different options at least. How's that? All right, Robert? Ben says, I'm glad Madeira sounds like a good game. No. Madeira is a Hall of Fame game as far as I'm concerned. First Golden Elephant Award winner and holds up. I feel pretty strongly about that. The expansion, though, also excellent. It says, I basically feel compelled to get it since I lived there for a bit. Okay, fair point. Fair. Thank you, Eric, for when we get around to it. See, I finally have caught up to that point. Have you played Archipelago? No, not yet. I know, Randall. I know. I'm sorry. And yes, it's definitely on my radar. As I mentioned earlier, look for a playthrough of it this side of the end of November. Edgard. Hi, Edward from Chile. Hello. Martin just flew down to your neck of the woods not too long ago for work. He went to Santiago, I believe it was. Never been there. I would love to go. I always say it, the best playthrough channel by far. Well, very kind of you to say. I appreciate that. Thank you. I feel like I'm biased, but I thank you. Yeah, definitely going to be at Essen. I will, unless there is some kind of emergency or physical impairment that keeps me from traveling to Essen, I will be at Essen for the foreseeable future. The only What's Your game I have is Nippon, which is a great game. How heavy is Madeira compared to Nippon? I think it's heavier, but it's not impenetrable. by any means. Madeira is still hard, but okay. So when it came out in 2013, which is when I played it, I was staggered by how hard it was. It's still hard, but it pales in like rules complexity to some of the more modern games. Not that 2013 isn't modern, but you get the idea, the more recent games. Like I would argue that a game like Lisboa is harder than Madeira, just from a rules overhead and the permissiveness of a game. Madeira actually has a good flow to it, and not saying that Lisboa doesn't. Also a Golden Elephant Award winner. But I just don't think it's as mechanically as complex, but it is hard still to play well and to get rid of all your pirates. Oh, that's the other thing I didn't mention. Pirates are a lot harder. You get a lot more, and they're a lot harder to get rid of in the expansion. So this whole, I'm going to have no pirates, not a foregone conclusion now with the expansion. Let me tell you. A lot of What's Your games I really enjoy, so obviously Madeira. I really enjoy Signori. I don't have a copy of Signori. I need a copy of Signori because I would like to stream that. It's a dice drafting game. Nippon is fine. Asgard, mind-blowing because the last round is completely different than the rest of the game. If you've ever played Steel Driver by Martin Wallace, you have the whole game, and then the last part of the game is completely feels unrelated to the actual game that you were playing. That's kind of how Asgard feels, and it's really cool in that regard. It's just really hard to teach. So Asgard, another one by What's Your Game that really enjoy. And Vasco da Gama, we enjoyed our plays of as well. Hey, Just Play. Yes, Marco, we will definitely play Alubari. Alubari feels, so Tony Boydell, patron as well as good friend and amazing designer and publisher. Surprise there. He designed Snowdonia, and Alubari feels like built upon the bones of Snowdonia, but it shows the growth of Tony as a designer in a positive way. Alubari was fantastic. I'm really excited. I was excited about it last year, but not to belabor that. Sorry about that, Tony. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We'll definitely be playing Alubari. That'll be on the short list of games that we may hand carry back to HCHQ instead of having them shipped, so that it arrives here so we can get that played ASAP. Tribulation Solo says a French reviewer played Barrage 10 times in what seemed to be only 2 weeks. I'll burn out on a game, and I will sour on a game. Not from I'm all set with that. That's a bad idea for me to do that. That's just playing a game too much in too short a time period. Anything more than twice a week is, for a particular game, gets me a little... It's just too much for me. There have been a couple of exceptions of that, I'll be honest. So what games have I played a lot of in a short amount of period that I've not tired of? PAX Premier 2nd Edition, BIOS Origins. That's about it from this year. But full disclosure, I don't often play a game more than twice a week, normally. So there's that. Like anything you see here, I haven't played more than twice a week. So there you go. Hey, Luke. Any more to say about Crystal Palace? Prototypes in a Fuji box. Since the live stream in August, I'm still on the fence about it. Enjoyed the post-game discussion, though. I want to play it more. I really do. The problem is, and this is first world problems. This is one of the downsides of this job, is I don't foresee being able to play Crystal Palace between now and when we review it on the podcast. The plays leading up to a review on the podcast, which I'm not going to be able to review it until it actually comes out, because we need to be able to review the actual component quality and everything of the production and not the prototype. So even though I would like to play it just to play it, it's unlikely to happen between now and then. Probably play it another 3 times, though, leading up to that, because of the fact that just don't have the time. So what are my thoughts on it? I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to play it more. I want to play it more. I really, really like that game. So there you go. Terra Mara from Quinna Games on the radar? It is. Would love to see a playthrough before pulling the trigger on a pre-order. Realistically, I'm not. That's a game that we'll pick up at Essen, so it'll be in the Essen Hall. So it's not. I don't know when the pre-order is or when it closes. So I don't know if we'll be able to help you on that in time. On to cup number 2. This one would be Oolong. That's hot. Loki asks, Edward, regarding Madeira, any idea if anything was changed regarding the pirate tokens? What was your feeling regarding these in the original game, especially your thoughts on the final scoring? Well, I kind of touched on that. You're going to get a lot more pirates in the expansion, and you're going to see this in a playthrough, and it's a lot harder to get rid of them. And I forget the name of the guild favor, where the one where you can get rid of half your pirates by flipping it. If he's not in the game, oh my, it becomes very hard to get rid of all your pirates. So I like that the game forces upon you more pirates, and it's a lot harder at the end of a round to avoid taking any pirates. So that last round, you're likely to take pirates. So it's going to be very hard to finish a game with 0 pirates. And you're going to see this in the playthrough. So I like that about the expansion, because there for a while, having 0 pirates at the end of Madeira, because whoever has the most pirates at the end of the game loses 16 points, which essentially means you lose the game. Well, it used to be that you'd have maybe one player that might have a pirate or 2 left over at the end of the game. Everybody else has 0. So they would lose 16 points and nobody else would lose anything. And it became okay, you're going to be able to get rid of them. I don't know that that's going to be the case anymore. I'm sure with a lot of plays, you're going to be able to master that. Don't get me wrong. But you'll see after 3 plays, we're not going to be there. So yeah, it's going to be a lot harder. And I like that. I also am the guy that enjoys the feeding and heating in Agricola, and prefers Agricola over Caverna, because it's tighter and more punishing. I like that. So just know that about the expansion. Luke, how far ahead do your plans, hopes for Heavy Cardboard go? What do you hope it will look like in 5, 10, or 30 years? Nothing in 30 years. I can't imagine doing this at 74 years old. There are some ideas, but honestly, I think I would rather keep all that private, if you don't mind right now, Luke. Normally, I would be happy to answer just about any question, but right now, I'm focused on consistent, high-quality content and increasing the stuff when we hit 800. That's going to be the immediate goal. So I'm going to focus on that. Vincent says, recently obtained 2038 Tycoons of the Asteroid Belt. That's a train game in space, 18XX, even though it's 2038. Have I played it? No. If so, what are your thoughts? So, Joe Huber, that's his favorite game. And I would love to have him as well as Eric Brocious for to host a playthrough of 2038 at some point. When their travel schedule allows, or when Joe's travel schedule allows, I would like to make that happen. Hopefully later this year. That's what I'm hoping for. And do I prefer operations or financial 18xx games? Mix and match. I don't have a huge favorite. It depends on my mood, so I enjoy them both. Both families of game or paths of game. Sam played Dragon Keepers, Vital and his daughter's design. That's cool. Good stuff. How much do I like Trismegistus in comparison to Danielle Tassini's other games? I haven't played it enough to be able to make a really good answer on that. I think I'm going to end up enjoying, I don't know yet. No, I don't want to really say that I would like Teotihuacan more. I don't know yet. It's too early to say. Hey, Grant. And no, my birthday is actually June 8th, Edgar. But the Marine Corps birthday, whichever Marine celebrates as their own birthday, is November 10th. So hence that. Sorry for the confusion. It's a really big deal to us Marines, though. Feld Day, Uwe Day, Fister Day. You guys are going for some really big games to stream multiple, like 3 games in a day. Easy with that. Now, we do like Bonanza, for Uwe. You get the idea, but I hear you. Luke says, I've got a short list of designers and publishers and artists whose games automatically get at least a second look, if not purchased, as soon as their names are attached. Do I have such a list? Splatter. Okay, so automatically am going to look into? Okay. No, let's back this down. Let's start blind purchase. I would. Granted, as a reviewer, yeah, I hear you. Blind purchase. Splatter. Okay, that covers that. Probably Cole Worley. Those might for sure splatter. And I'm saying maybe, so kind of like ratings, 1 to 6. If it's not a for sure, it's the one below. So, okay, splatter. What will automatically get a look from me no matter what, just based on the name? Okay, this is no particular order. This will be a mix of publishers and designers. So, Capstone. And this is taking out everything heavy cardboard related. This is Edward speaking, not Edward of Heavy Cardboard. So, anything Capstone puts out, anything coming out from All Aboard Games, anything coming out from Holland Spiel, anything coming out from Winsome. Martin Wallace is always going to get a look from me, but definitely a try before buy. Uwe Rosenberg, I guess, less so nowadays. Because a lot of those I don't have interest in. He and I have parted ways going back to 2013, 2014 a bit in what we like. Oh, shoot. I'm going to forget a lot of these. I probably shouldn't have done this. Let's see. Anything that comes out from Andre Spiel and Rolf Segel, although full disclosure, I'm kind of biased in that Wildcatters and the upcoming Coffee Traders, it looks fantastic. So there's that. Spielworks. Ion Game Design / Phil Eklund / Cole Worley. Lookout Games. And there's more, but that gives you an idea. VTOL, obviously. Yeah, so basically heavy games. People that have earned that. Luke says a whirly date. That could happen. Tassini Day. All right. Hey, Franny. Any plans for what the next Glory to Rome stream will be? Yes, Grant. We know for a fact what it's going to be. It is a game that at no point did it feel good. At no point. And it was the nastiest, ugliest, meanest game I've ever played in my life. And we will not stream it without a Glory to Rome stream, because I don't think there's any way that I would refrain from calling the people at the around the table some horrible names. And that's Intrigue. Oh my God. The nastiest game I've ever played. Oh. I almost won and never felt good about it. Oh, it was ugly. Oh, that was so bad. Oh, for those that are familiar with Intrigue, very quick overview. Everybody has 10 tokens. There are 5 sets of 2 of the same token. You also have a player board where you have jobs or that you can fill with other players' tokens. The jobs pay 10,000 up to 100,000, depending on where you position them. On your turn, you collect income for where all of your people out around the board have jobs. Then you take bribes from other players if they have their people applying for positions. Everybody that's in there is going to get a job unless there is a battle for a job. Then somebody gets discarded out to the island, which is basically out of play. I offered up $190,000 for a $100,000 position and got sent to the island. It is the ugliest, nastiest single move that I've ever had happen to me in a game. Yeah, that was that. Intrigue was horrible. Oh, and I don't mean horrible to get, just brutal. Oh, so we might get that out of our system before Essen. We might be able to bring that up sometime. If not, it'll be soon following Essen. Raiders of the shoot, it's like the architect something. Edgar says Shem Phillips Day. We'll see. Okay, pronounced like Mike. Okay, got it. Funny you asked this, Loki. Edward, will we soon see your updated top 50 games list? And will we see Jess and some others sharing their own? That'd be super interesting. Funny you mentioned that. You should take a look at the upcoming schedule for the podcast. Just saying. Maybe around, October 21st. Maybe. Grant says, I agree. Rado got me into board games, and Edward made me realize my love for heavy games. Awesome. I appreciate it. I'm glad to hear that help. Camille, have you tried Captains of the Gulf? I played the prototype. I don't know that we have played the final edition. Seems to have some interesting ideas, but didn't get much press. Yeah, that's something that we absolutely probably feature at some point. Yep. Nick talks about Indonesia and the merger of 2 companies owned by other players. I'm still surprised that no other game has used that mechanism like what you find in Indonesia. The game's, 20 years old? Or thereabouts, maybe not 20, but and I've never seen any other game use that mechanism, which is crazy to me. I find that interesting. Netherlands representing. Hey, Mike? We'll go with make. New board order. An Asgard teach and playthrough would be an excellent Christmas gift this year. If you're not on the naughty list, MBO, we could make that happen. Luke says, you've said a couple times that you're excited for Pax Transhumanity. Yup, still am. What are your expectations for the game, and what about that hypes you up? So it's kind of, having played now BIOS Origins as well as PAX Emancipation, you can see that these games share similarities. You're not building up a tableau of cards per se like you are in like PAX Premier or PAX Porfiriana. Whew, words. Or PAX Friend. Just the way that you're chaining together putting together different combos is just really exciting. And it sounds like a pretty positive game to where the theme on it just seems positive and moving things into the future in a positive direction. And the way that Matt Eklund described everything in it, it just got me really excited about it, which I'm hoping I'm going to go check the P.O. box when we're done with this today. I'm hoping it's sitting in the P.O. box for me to go pick up, which I don't want to, though, because I have Leaving Earth to get through today, and then tomorrow is going to be Madeira. Thursday is going to be BIOS Origins, all this prep work for the rest of this week, as well as the podcast. So I don't have time to delve into it, and it's just going to sit there and tease me. So, yeah, there you go. Hey, Prospero Hall. Gaspass or Giasp asks, what's the difference between the new bus retail edition and the 20th anniversary deluxe edition? I don't know. Well, that's not true. You can go online and see, but I haven't seen the deluxe edition. Clay kept it from me, and he's going to make me wait just like he is with y'all for the surprise. You guys hopefully have seen the unboxing that I did of Bust yesterday. If not, you can go take a look at the standard edition, the new edition, standard retail edition, whatever you want to call it. The deluxe edition, the components, there are pictures on Capstone's site, or there are graphic representations of it, but I haven't seen it. So I'm excited about it, though. Ben asks, have there been any games recently that you've expected to like based on pitch and reputation but didn't end up grabbing you? There have been, and I'll be honest, I ain't got a clue as to what they were. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a look here at what we've streamed, because I'll be honest, it's really hard for me to remember what we've played because we go through so many of them. Oh, Grande. I'm liking less and less the more I played it. Let's see. Rome City of Marble I enjoyed but didn't love. I was hoping I would enjoy that more than I did. Pax Emancipation is another one that I want to play more, but I didn't love, because I think, and this is a guess, that Transhumanity is going to do some of the things that Pax Emancipation does, but in a way that I think I'm going to enjoy more. I don't know for sure, but yeah. Let's see. On the other end of the spectrum, Deluvia Project and Crystal Palace, I was hyped for and enjoyed just as much. It did not disappoint. Deluvia Project, I was kind of dragging my feet on and and then when I played it, I realized how much I really enjoyed it. So that went in the opposite direction. Black Angel would probably be the biggest one. There you go. There's a good one to talk about. Black Angel would be the one that comes to mind the most about that was not pitched or reputation-wise or anything, just that my anticipation was, and ultimately it fell a little flat for me. There's a swallow left. Enjoyed but didn't love. I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to enjoy it. And that's why I try very, very hard to not get really excited about games. Because as a reviewer, I feel like my profession demands that I limit my excitement of a game. Now, I'm human at the same time, and sometimes it doesn't quite work out that way. Like PAX Premier 2nd Edition, I was super stoked for it. Didn't disappoint. PAX Transhumanity and BIOS Origins. So Phil and Matt and Cole's games, apparently it seems. Really looking forward to. And BIOS Origins, I want to play a lot more. And I'm disappointed I can't play it more this week before the live stream. Well, I will be able to play it Saturday, so there's that. That did not disappoint, and it wasn't as intimidating as I thought it was going to be after playing it a number of times. And I'm really excited for PAX Transhumanity. So I try really hard, though, to limit my excitement for a game, because I have if you want to call it journalistic responsibility, even though I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a journalist. I am a professional reviewer, but I also, I'm human, so it happens on occasion. But for the most part, I try and temper my expectations of games. And on the flip side of things, after a recent play of a game, we got to talking, and me and Jess talking separately because she wasn't part of the game. And the question came up, are we just jaded at this point? And I said, no, I don't think so. I think we're just very experienced gamers, and we've seen most of the things that are out there as far as mechanisms, themes, stuff like that. So we're not jaded. It just has to do something really special or something new or really innovative, or put known quantities in an innovative way, put them together, that if it doesn't, then it's going to fall in line with what 70% of everything that comes out is, which is a game on a pile of games. It's fine. There's probably going to be 25% that's utter crap, 70% that's some level of fine. And fine in this case isn't fine. No, it's fine. It's a game on a pile of games. And then there's that 5% that's special. I mean, it's your typical bell curve, right? So no, I don't think jaded, just I think more just discerning, and okay, you better bring it. If you're gonna claim to do X, Y, and Z, you better do it right. You better do it in a cool way, in a fun way, in an enjoyable, new, refreshing way. So there you go. Hey, Raynal. He says no questions, just hello. So hello. Tea should be hot. Not always, Chisholm. Hold on. Tea should be brewed hot. But I appreciate sun tea, or so living in the South in the Marine Corps a lot. I got turned on to both sun tea as well as just sweet. Well, no, sun tea I grew up with, but just sweet tea. Sweet tea. There's a difference between iced tea with sugar and sweet tea. Sweet tea is brewed hot and has the sugar put in to where it's completely melted. Now, I'm at that point in my life ever since I lost all the weight to where I don't like super, super sweet. So now it's mildly sweet or cut with regular unsweetened tea. So I appreciate iced tea, Chisholm. So easy on the always hot. That said, I'm loving the teas that you sent. Thank you very much. That's really, really good stuff. Thank you. Early Golden Elephant Award contenders. I'd go with City of the Big Shoulders, PAX Premier 2, Barrage, Pipeline, and Black Angel. It's a good year. I think that's a reasonable guess up to now. I mean, those are all games that those are some of the bigger, heavier games that have come out, right? Games that aren't out yet, but that are coming, right? That you could at least float the idea about. You could make the case. PAX Emancipation. No, that was last year. Sorry. BIOS Origins. PAX Transhumanity. High Frontier 4. Although I don't know if High Frontier 4 is going to be different enough, which I don't think it will. I don't know, so I don't want to lump that in. Crystal Palace, Cooper Island, these are all, but none of these are technically out yet, so can't really speak to them. But you get the idea. I like where your head's at, JT. I think you're at least in the right ballpark of that. Joey says Watergate's addicting. I know, right? Short playtime, and clever, intense, and tight. Shobu is another that I would say is addicting as well. Jordy, any ideas for Patreon goals after we hit 800? A second PTZ camera? That or shotgun mics for the live streams instead of lapel mics. I think that would improve the sound for the live streams. Here's the problem with the podcast. These mics are as good as it gets, so I can't improve that. I already pay an editor to edit it, and paying somebody to be a constant co-host isn't going to happen. So I don't know what I could do to improve the podcast. So most of it is video-centric. But that's kind of what we're thinking, maybe. We'll see. Does it have the potential to be your favorite Ticini game? Now you're going to make me talking about Trismegistus. Now I'm going to have to actually go and look at other Daniel Ticini games. So let's look here. We'll do it by rank. So we got Zolkin, Marco Polo, which I've never played, Teotihuacan, a bunch of other games that I have not played. Trismegistus. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Does it have the potential? Zolkin, Trismegistus, or Teotihuacan? I suppose it's potentially possible. Dragon asks, Edward, you talk about block war games when discussing PTZ cameras. Have you? I've been looking at getting Sekigahara. Have I played it? And if so, what do you think of it? I think it is a phenomenal game. I think it is a near perfect jumping off point for if you want to get into block war games. I think that is fantastic. Yeah, I think that's a great choice. The other ones that I would recommend checking into for getting into block war games are the Columbia games series. I forget the name of the series, but it includes, oh boy, help me out. Richard III. It's funny. I'm thinking of all the big name ones. It's William Wallace. Hammer of the Scots. There you go. That series of games. They all have 8 pages of rules, and they're very low rules overhead and very easy to get into. So I would recommend definitely Sekigahara or checking into the block war games from a series from Columbia Games. And again, I forget the name of it, but if you find Hammer of the Scots, any of the games that are in that series, find a time period or a subject or a period of history that interests you and get that one. So I think that would be good. Scott says, next to diplomacy, Intrigue is the next worst, or divorce lawyers hanging out by that game, just waiting. Yep, that sounds about right. That is a fair point, Franny. Fister Day, you could play Isle of Skye, Port Royal with the expansion, and Oh My Goods. Fair point. Carson City for a Glory to Rome stream. Always an idea. Padawan says, why do you always use the phrase making lemonade from lemons? I swear it's become a drinking game for us. Every single human that talks for a living, be it on a podcast, any kind of talk, they have their pet sayings and fall into a rut as to fall back on some of these. It's a thing that humans do, and that's just one of mine. For the longest time, my biggest thing was ending sentences with the word "so" on it, which may or may not have been broken. I don't know. You guys, if you listen to the podcast, I'm sure that people out there can make a bingo card of Edwardisms. Yeah, it happens. My bad. Hello, Joseph. Good afternoon to you as well. Dragon says, another tea tip. He said tea tip. So if I were to want to, suckle upon any cows. Noted. I know it's tea. I'm making a joke. If you like oolong tea, I do. Try Big Red Robe, or as it's called in Chinese, Da Hong Pao. Vince, make that happen. Help me out. Okay? Make note of that. Edgar asks, is my problem with El Grande the game or the area control mechanism? It's not the area control mechanism. Because I love dominant species and similar games, but for some reason, El Grande just fell flat with me. I don't foresee us ever streaming Diplomacy, guys. So let's end that talk. Are you a Breaking Bad fan? Excited for the upcoming Netflix movie? I've never watched Breaking Bad. Okay. I've watched a handful of episodes, but so no. There are only 2 series that I can say that I am a fan of, that I followed along with, one after the fact. To this day, I still think the single greatest series in the history of television is The Wire. I love it. I've watched it 4 or 5 times. My goal in life now, or one of my goals in life, is to get Jess to binge watch it with me. Yeah. I also, in real time, the only show I've ever stayed up on in real time and followed along with on Twitter and stuff is Game of Goats, Game of Thrones. I never watched Sopranos. I never watched Friends. Rome would be another one that I actually watched in real time. I never watched Mad Men. I would like to go back and watch all of these, but time, right? Oh, by the way, went and saw the new Downton Abbey. I've seen about half of. Went and saw the new movie. Really, really enjoyable movie. Haven't gone to the movie theater. It's been a day. Really enjoyed the Downton Abbey movie. Joker is probably the next movie we'll go see at the movie theater. And then who knows after that. But I'm curious. Jess and I had this discussion yesterday about, do you have movies that are movie theater movies and then everything else is watch at home? I don't like going to the theater normally because I don't want to pay money to watch when I have a pretty good sound system and a 70-inch TV from the basement, from the old house downstairs, to where I could just stream it and watch it in the comfort of my own home and not have to deal with rude people or their phones or anything like that. So normally I'm not a real big movie theater guy. But there are certain movies that I think you should go and watch in the theater, like Star Wars movies. I'm going to watch in the theater first. Right? You go on opening night, midnight showing, stuff like that. Not that old yet. So still enjoy stuff like that. But the overwhelming majority of movies are home movies now. Like, you watch them at home. I'm curious if other people feel that way. Have certain movies, yes, watch these in theater. Everything else, no. Another movie that I'm super stoked for, and I don't really get terribly excited for movies, like Sicario was the last great movie I feel like I watched. The Irishman? Yes. Just yes. It's a 3.5 hour movie with De Niro, Pesci, Pacino, and Scorsese. I'm in. Take my money. Done. That will be a theater movie as well. Oh, I like that. Not jaded, just experienced or sage. I like that, Joseph. Do you have plans to go to PAX Unplugged this year? Yup. I'm going to be teaching a game. Clay asked me to be the teacher of Irish Gauge, but it seems somebody else has signed up to teach that. So we will see. I don't know. But yes, plan on going to Pax Unplugged this year. So see you there, Patrick. Thoughts on the show? I think it was great. Only went once. The location, especially across from whatever the marketplace is, amazing food. I would go just for the food. Lots of open gaming, lots of publishers there, lots of booths. Yeah, it seemed like a really great convention. I highly recommend it. I imagine I'm not going to be nearly as tired at PAX Unplugged this year as I was in last year, because that came at the end of a lot of travel. A lot less travel this year, so should be enjoyable, and looking forward to seeing you, Patrick. Hey, Dave, it says, speaking of teas, I remember you repping London Fogs in a previous episode. Yep, still enjoy them. What's your preferred recipe for one of those? I don't know that I have a recipe per se, but whenever I make it here locally, normally I go out and buy one. I'm not going to lie. But if I were to make it at home, you make it with Earl Grey tea and just a pinch of lavender, dried lavender, in with, like in a tea ball. That you're going to put and steep your tea in. Put the lavender in with the Earl Grey. Let that steep for however long it steeps, roughly 3 minutes or so. Just a tiny bit of vanilla, a little bit of simple syrup, and some, in a perfect world, some frothed milk. There you go. And there you have a London Fog. A little bit sweet, a little bit exotic with the lavender and the Earl Grey and the vanilla. Good stuff. There you go. Chisholm, well played, sir. See? But I agree with you. Hot tea should be hot, or at least warm. Not scalding hot like this was earlier, but hot. Iced tea should be iced. There shouldn't be a middle ground. There's no tepid tea. That I will agree with, Chisholm. Kurt says, now that you have the audio compressor, I have no problem with the audio during the playthroughs. I do, but I appreciate that, Kurt. See, now it's hot. You can sip it without burning your tongue, but you couldn't, like, drink it because it's still too hot for that. Perfect temperature. Dave asks, who are your favorite reviewers outside of the Heavy Cardboard family? I remember you discussing Dan Thoreau with Cole in your last interview. I'm going to focus on formats that don't conflict. So, yeah, Dan Thoreau is my favorite written reviewer, bar none. Yeah, there you go. That would definitely be my favorite. But let's face it. Whose reviews do I on occasion watch? On occasion, Rado, Shut Up and Sit Down, no pun included. John Gets Games, Gaming Rules, so Paul Grogan's, Ant Labs. I'm sure there are some that I'm forgetting. Podcasts, I'll be honest, I really don't listen to hardly any other podcasts anymore, board game related, because if I'm in the car, I'm listening to other ones. So yeah, there you go. That thus ends. And I'm, like I said, I know there are some I'm forgetting, and I apologize. It's not intentional. Just I have the memory of a gnat nowadays, it seems. Other podcasts that I do enjoy, though. Criminal, you know what? Here, I will actually look this one up because I have. Let's see. Dan Carlin, Hardcore History, and the Addendum. Criminal, Crime Town, The Moth, The Shadows, No Sleep Podcast, Alice Isn't Dead, Limetown, Rabbits, although Rabbits, Weekly Poker Hand, with Jonathan Little, Just Hands, and Red Chip Poker Podcast. There you go. That's pretty much what I'm listening to podcast-wise. There you go. Yes, The Wire. Oh, Deadwood. I caught up on Deadwood. Deadwood. I binged on Deadwood on flights and caught up on that. That was great. Haven't watched the movie yet, though. I want to. Battlestar Galactica, I've heard is good as well. The new one, I've heard that, or no, new, not the one from the 70s, 80s, whatever. Oh, that's nice. Dave says we do dinner and a movie sometimes and love that we have a local movie theater that does classics in the theater, giving us a chance to watch some amazing films in the theater. That'd be cool. Yeah, like like the places that serve like meals and that I would enjoy. But James says the Alamo Draft House solves the noisy people problem. Okay. Kurt, on Sunday afternoons, I'll sometimes find the crappiest horror movie playing and go see that. I dig that. Mayick. Edward, do you have plans on streaming or have thoughts on Twilight Struggle or Mega Civ? Twilight Struggle for sure, and I have the collector's edition, so probably going to stream that one because if you got it, you might as well. And Mega Civ, maybe one day. Not while I live in this small apartment. That's unlikely to happen. I would need a larger space, but I would love to be able to see Mega Civ streamed at some point. That would be one where we would probably have commentators like in a booth commentating on it, and either I would be playing or commentating type thing. Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun, but that's down the road. Will we see one of the following games on heavy cardboard? Falling Sky, yes. Shogun. We did Shogun. Yeah, we did Shogun, Loki. Twilight Imperium 4. If we ever get a copy, yeah, I could see that happening. Hannibal and Hamilcar from Phalanx. Yes, we will. So there you go. So yes to 3, likely, and 1 we've already done. Are we going to BGG Con? Maybe. We'll see. If so, have I been? Oh yeah, I've been to the last 4 or 5, however many that is. Local Good Eats. There is a Mexican joint that we went to, a little bit high end, that was fantastic. Me something or other, MI, and then another word. It was phenomenal. Really good food. Also, Babe's Chicken. Yes. There you go. And if we go to BGGCon, that means we're also doing RailCon again, which is taking the train down. But I don't know if that's going to be feasible this year or not. I will let you, when I know, you know. Yes, Dan Thoreau is wonderful. His prose, yeah, he writes wonderfully. I agree. Last podcast on the left. Is that a horror one? I don't know what that is. I've heard that name, but I don't know what it is. Oh, okay. It's not Dave. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. It's Brandon. I thought so. We have a patron by the name of Dave Harvey, and I really thought that was him. So my apologies. So there you go. Sorry, Brandon. There you go. So I will try and remember Brandon, but if not, it'll be BT. All right. So Eric earlier asked for a poker update. I figure I would wait until we got through all of this. Let me see one more place. Is there anything else that I may have missed? Let me see. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Already covered the Madeira. Planning for HeavyCon 6. Very good. Going to be signing the contract probably next week for the hotel, which means that invites will be going out soon thereafter. What games are you most excited about the rest of this year? Kind of covered a lot of them. There you go. And the teaching notes. So we went through a lull because of the Gen Con, the live streaming through Gen Con. I didn't prepare teaching notes for each of those games because there just simply wasn't enough time when you're doing 3 streams a day. But I did do full teaching notes on like Trismegistus and stuff. I'm going to on games like BIOS Origins and Pax Transhumanity and all that. So I'll be getting back into doing the teaching notes again. There was just a lull during and after Gen Con. So yeah, those will pick back up for those that were asking about that. And let's see. Oops. Let me see. Was there anything else in the guild? War of the Ring playthrough. I could see that happening at some point. Renee, yep. I am definitely going to be attending Essen. Jess is hoping to, but I will be. And Board and Dice, they will be hosting me this year. I will be there a couple hours every day, scheduled, and then around the various halls after that. That's in Hall 2. I forget exactly which booth that is, but in Hall 2 I will be there. Board and Dice. Swag will be there. All the merch will be there for purchase, even if I'm not there. And the meetup will be Friday at 7 or 8, and I'll lock down the exact time at Fitzpatrick's as always. And, Brandon actually, there you go, asked this in the guild. He asked, without getting too far into the weeds with respect to the El Grande playthrough, what do you think of the social contract players get into when playing games with one another? Are players supposed to try and win the game as much as possible? Are they supposed to try and improve their stature or their position, compete with the next closest, or is it simply ending up closer to the winner that one currently is if winning becomes impossible? That is an amazingly good question. That oolong is really good today. And I don't know the answer, really. I've thought about this since I saw that he asked this question. Okay. When we all sit down to play a game, unless it's a legitimate learning game, and even if it's a learning game, we're trying to win, but the bigger emphasis on a learning game is making sure that all of us at the table understand what it is we're doing and why we're trying to do it, pulling levers. And so we talk out loud, and I just couldn't care less if I win. Outside of that, when we all sit down at a table, and by we all, I mean whether it's us in our local group or whether it's y'all with your group or whatever, or if we were to sit down and play at a convention, I feel like there is a social contract, an unwritten rule that all of us are doing our best to try and win the game. And I think the overwhelming majority of people do that. Yes, there are some couples out there that are pretty disgusting in that they will either pick on each other just to hurt one another, or they will try and throw the game in favor of their partner, which I think is horrible in either direction. Jess and I don't have that problem. So outside of something like that, I feel like every player is doing their best, or there is a unwritten agreement, a social contract, that we are playing our best to try and win the game. Much like in poker, even though that is for money, everybody is sitting down, in theory, trying their best to win because nobody likes losing money. So it's similar, but it's more for just the competition is why we're playing the game. So when it becomes apparent that you're out of the game, for the most part, I don't want to speak for others, but how I look at games, I am always trying to win until it is very clear that I don't have a snowball's chance to win. If that's the case, then normally my goal is to do the very best that I can do with my position to improve my position. Meaning I will try and do things that help me do better and score better or whatever it is. There are times in which there are things that I could do that would, I feel like, king make in a game, and I will actively avoid doing that. Like, for instance, if I were to go to this spot, and this spot would negatively impact only one of the players that has a viable chance to win. If it's late in the game, I will avoid going to do that because of the fact that I feel like then I'm artificially impacting the game. Does that make sense at all? Yeah, more often than not, you play to improve your own personal position. And that's what everybody should be trying to do. But then it gets a little bit weird, I guess, when you get into king-making positions, which at that point I will just try and remove myself. But as long as removing myself doesn't then give the other players, because I didn't go to in my example where that it would negatively impact that one player, it would artificially give them too big of a boost or one way or the other. If it's going to be close one way or the other, then I'll just try and improve my position 99 out of 100 times. That's what I'm trying to do. So at what point, I would say from the time you sit down to play a game, there's that social contract. I'm human, though, and sometimes I get bitter and angry. I try not to let that happen, but on occasion it does. So there you go. Am I trying to win? Absolutely. Do I really give a crap if I win or not? No. If I did, I wouldn't stream these games because, let's face it, my ratio to winning games on stream is pretty low because of the fact that A, Jess is on them, but also B, in all seriousness, is my job is to make sure that the stream goes well. And then do well in a game is secondary for me. So there you go. There you go. So hopefully, last podcast on the left, true crime, serial killers. Okay, nice. There you go. I also listened to, oh God, what was the name of it? Because I actually know the host. Sword and Scale. But I couldn't take that as much anymore because it just got a little too intense. Some of it was really uncomfortable. So anyway, there you go. But moving on. So that I'm caught up. Yay. Hey, only took me almost 2 hours. Whew. All right. So David asks, and since I'm caught up, I'm doing this in real time. So if one of the two people vying for victory is sitting on your left and you not taking the space leaves it open for that player to win, isn't that kind of king making too? That's tough though. Exactly. No, in that case, I will do what I should do because I'm not going to, if doing something in the flow of the game is going to throw the game clearly for one player or the other, I won't do that on either direction, if that makes sense. So if I do this, it throws the game. If I don't do this, it throws the game. In that case, I'm going to do whatever helps me the most because that's what I should do. Does that make sense? If there's a way for me to remove myself without negatively impacting in a noticeable way, one way or the other, then I will do that because I'm not, if it's clear. If it's not clear, then I'm just trying to play to win. It's not clear, so that's what I should be doing. That makes sense. I think most everybody is going to feel the same and is probably going to look at it the same way, I think, David and Brandon. All right. So I saved the poker update for the end. So there you go. And after this, I think we'll wrap it up. So I'll bring this up. I actually printed or screenshotted this from my phone and then sent it to myself. For those that are interested, for those that don't care, like, subscribe, pledgehc.com. Take care. See you tomorrow for Leaving Earth. If you are curious about the poker stuff, I used to play poker professionally. Now I play it as a hobby. And I really, really enjoy playing poker as a hobby. And I set a goal for myself back on June 27th to take $1,000 and try and exclusively play 1-3, no limit hold'em, and until I made turn that 1,000 into 10,000, so $9,000 in profit, with no end goal or end time. It happens when it happened. And so it started June 27th. The reason for that is that was the day I was heading to Vegas to play with my buddy, Jody, who a very good friend of mine who's expecting his first baby. I'm excited for them. Went to his wedding. Anyway, long story short, He's a professional poker player still. He and I both were. We cut our teeth growing up on Full Tilt. Became friends that way. So he invited me out to Vegas. So we went out to Vegas for, I don't know, what was it, 4 days? The end of June, beginning of July. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to do this little challenge for myself. And the Encore here, the Encore Boston Harbor, which is the Wynn property, it opened here in Boston. And so I was like, yeah, because I can afford 1-3. Max buy-in's 300 at 1-3 at the Wynn, at the Encore. And that's what I've been playing. And even when I went to Vegas, I play 1-3. So there you go. Yes, it is base leaving Earth. There you go. All right. All right. So my results since June 27th. So there you go. Thought I would bring that up. All right. So there you go. People have asked, so I thought I would answer. So 23 sessions, including sessions in Vegas. So you can see the graph there. It's a total of 140 hours since June 27th. My longest session was just under 15 hours. My shortest session was, well, you know what? That doesn't show. So give me a minute and I will look that up. If you guys have specific questions, I have no problems answering them. Let's see, shortest. So they, for the longest time, validated parking at 3 hours of play. So, nope, 1 hour and 31 minutes. Hour 17 minutes was the shortest session. There you go. My single biggest win was $1,660 at 1-3. 2 of my last few sessions have been almost $1,600 profit, $1,100 profit. Biggest loss was a $900 session. But outside of the 900, the biggest loss was 400 and change. Pretty good hourly, 62.27, yes. 15 wins, 8 losses. Yeah, there you go. So pretty good hourly over the last 140 hours. I'm pretty proud of that. Pretty happy with it. And people have asked me, what's the key to beating 1-3? Number 1, value bet until people eyes bleed. Play position like it. Yeah, super tight up front. And I play far wider than the majority of people out there play in late position, but table dynamics matter. So if I'm able to get away with playing super wide in late position, I will. If the table's not going to allow for it, then I won't. Then I will tighten up. And so it's a mix of GTO and exploitive play, although let's face it, I'm a hobby player now, so I'm not studying game theory necessarily, especially at 1-3. Basically at 1-3, value bet and bluff far less than you think you need to. The last session I played, I did make a couple of huge bluffs because I made a couple of really big reads, and they both paid off really, really well. But there are times to where the majority of time you don't need to bluff. There's one thing to try and take stabs, continuation bet here or there. I continuation bet far less than you probably think I probably do, because in multi-way pots, odds are people are not wanting to fold. And the other piece of advice I would give is never, ever, 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 ever try and make people fold big hands or big pairs, pocket pairs, starting aces, kings, stuff like that. There you go. Don't do that. As you move up, these rules relax a bit. But yeah, I value bet very, very well. I don't bluff very much. And I make very thin value bets. And I have zero problem throwing away top pair or over pairs when it's apparent that's what I should be doing. There you go. Dylan says 15 hours, no lunch. No, I'll order food and eat at a table on occasion. But I usually eat well before I go, and then I eat afterwards. And Scott says, funny, luck is never mentioned in a game of chance. Long term, this is not a game of chance, Scott. It is not. On a given session, can I get unlucky? Yep. Long term, will I get unlucky? No. Because it is a game of skill, far more than it's a game of luck. It's not I'm not playing against the casino. I'm playing against other players, and my skill level is higher than 95% of the people in the world, even at this point, and probably 99.9% of the players at 1-3. And do I get unlucky? Of course. You get set over set. So if somebody has a bigger 3 of a kind than yours, that's going to happen. Can somebody with 7 deuce crack my aces? Of course, and it happens. I've seen ace 10 take down my aces or ace king. I've seen ace king beat my aces. In a given hand or a given session or even a short period of time, luck will have an impact. But math dictates that if I'm making better decisions and I am putting money in with positive expected value or positive equity, then I'm going to make money long term. And what's the long term? Who knows, right? Put in 140 hours. I'm making that at my hourly, so I'm doing all right. But yeah, I have losing sessions. The only 2 ways I'm ever going to lose at 1-3, this isn't conceit, this is honesty. Number 1, if I get unlucky, that happens. Or number 2, I happen. If I do a very poor job of controlling either urges to spaz out or I do dumb stuff, those are the only ways I'm going to lose at poker long term at 1-3. As I move up in stakes again, then that will change because then you can get outplayed. I'm very rarely going to get outplayed at 1-3. But as I move up to 2-5 and higher down the road, if I ever do, that becomes a bigger concern. So yeah, there you go. What does it cost to play at the casino? The minimum buy-in at a 1-3 game is $100. Max buy-in's $300. When I go, I'll sit down with about $1,000 in my pocket, but it's from the bankroll, the money that I've made. When I buy in for $500. I buy in $300 in red chips, which are $5 chips, and I buy $200 worth of green chips, and I keep them in my pocket. Which those are $25 chips, so that if my stack ever gets below 300, I can just refill 25 or 50 or 100 or whatever at a time as I needed to be able to make sure that I have the maximum possible. This way, when I get all my money in, I get max value. So if I get a really good hand and I only have $150 and I could have made 300, I essentially lost $150, right? So that's bad. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question, Dylan. And there's an in-depth question. Edgar asks, Edward, approximately what's my 3-bet percentage in small blind and big blind against a standard button raise? I'm 3-betting more than I'm calling. I'm folding far more than I'm 3-betting. I don't know. If I were to guess, I probably 3-bet. See, that's a really hard question to answer because it depends on the specific villain, right? Villain being the opponent. It's a nickname we give our opponents in poker. If somebody is in the cutoff or button and continually raising my blinds, I'm going to 3-bet far more than I would somebody that is only playing good hands or, a normal percentage of hands. If somebody is isolating early position limps in late position, often I'm going to 3-bet far more than I would your standard player. So it is entirely player dependent. But I would say it's probably in the neighborhood of, I don't know, I would say I fold 80%, 80-90% of my hands in the blinds to a raise, maybe 75%. Of that 25%, I'm probably 3-betting 80+% maybe of that and calling with the other percent of those that I choose to play. So it's really hard to put a number on that. I could tell you if I was playing online what it would be back in the day, but not anymore, not live. There you go. Oh, you're welcome, Dragon. Thanks. It says, thanks for the Q&A today and all your hard work. Luke just got to work and asked one last question. This is actually a really good question. He says, what's the limit on Glory to Rome in terms of extremeness? Luke says, what I mean is I'm Australian. Australia for the win. We call friends words that other countries find horrific. What's the line for heavy cardboard? I'm really glad you asked this, because I brought this up when talking about Intrigue. I call my friends off camera some really horrible names as well, and we do back and forth. And I asked Jess about a couple of the names, and she was like, no, no, do not do that. Even on a Glory to Rome stream, there's still a line that no, nothing good comes of that. And she's right. So even when I say there's no filter, there's still got to be a filter, because regardless of what anybody thinks or says, there is still some amount of persona that I have to maintain. It sucks, honestly. I hate that I have to, but I do. And last year taught me that. So there you go. There you go. So, like, I might call you a name, Luke, if we were sitting here playing at the table. But when the camera's on, even on Glory to Rome streams, there's a limit. Dylan says, does poker feel significantly different in person than online? Absolutely. Online, back in the day, I was playing, upwards of, even when I was 4-tabling turbo, I was playing 1,200 hands an hour. Now I play 25 hands an hour. So, yeah, it's completely different. Plus, the players live are horrendously bad. Yeah, so it's apples and giraffes. And people worry about, like, live tells and everything. There are a couple things that I do trust, that I do pick up on, but it's not on whether or not I'm going to do a major bluff or stuff like it. It's no. It's a series. Every hand of poker is a story. I've told this many a time. Every hand of poker is a story. You're telling it or they're telling it, or actually everybody involved in a hand is telling their own story. From every action that you take in a poker hand. So if I raise pre-flop and I bet the flop and a guy raises and I call and he checks to me and I bet the turn, I'm telling a story of strength. I'm telling a story that what's on the board either helps my hand considerably, or I'm not worried about what's on the board, in a sense that I am trying to protect my hand. So every hand is a story, and every action that you take within a hand adds to or to the detriment of the story. Our job as poker players is to discern the story that people are telling, number one, and number two, figure out whether or not it's a believable story. And that, I feel like, is at the core what poker's about. And that's why I love it so much. It's about making good decisions, putting people in difficult spots and making them make mistakes. That is all true. But it's also being able to interpret somebody's story, understand that their story may not make a whole lot of sense, and then snapping off a bluff because their story doesn't make sense. And being able to read hands and being able to read their story there are few things in gaming that feel as good as being able to do that. And I get an immense amount of joy and enjoyment in being able to do that. And so that's one of the main reasons why I enjoy playing poker so much. And the reason you have to play poker for money, I feel like, is to make people take it serious and make reasonable decisions. Because if you're like online sites that offer play money, it's play money. It doesn't, you have no skin in the game. You have no no impact. It's the same. It's the whole reason I got into heavy board games was everybody who plays these games, for the most part, is trying to win. They have an investment in learning this game and wanting to play it well and wanting to do well and wanting to win, and their decisions being better than my decisions, or my decisions being better to their decisions, and why that matters. That is my favorite thing in gaming, and poker does that in spades. Pun not intended. So there you go. That's why I love poker, and I'll never get tired of it. Ever, ever, ever. So, all right. There you go. That's it. That's it for today's Ask the Elephant. Thanks, everybody, for watching and for your questions. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm not going to do one next month. I will do one again in November. If I do one next month, it'll be patron only. So, to support the show, the 767 of those out there that choose to support the show, you can see underneath, scrolling from down there, you can go to pledgehc.com, support the show. You get perks from the Slack channel. You get teaching note access. You get other benefits from being a patron. So check it out, help support the show, and it gets us that much closer to getting the PTZ camera and improving the quality of the streams, because let's face it, all this costs money. I do appreciate everybody who watches, whether you're a patron or not. Thank you very much, and a special thank you to all of my patrons who, without y'all, I can't do this. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do these live streams for you guys all, each week, and be able to enjoy this dream that I didn't know I had that I really enjoy. So thank you to all of you. Don't forget, subscribe down below. If you enjoy the content, do so, as in subscribe. If you like this one, don't forget to give it a thumb up. I appreciate it. Other than that, I will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m.-ish with Leaving Earth solo playthrough. Looking forward to it. Hopefully y'all join me then. All right, take care. We have that. We have Madeira on Friday night at 7 p.m. And then we have BIOS Origins Sunday at noon. So join us then. Take care, y'all. Thanks. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Unless you're in Australia or New Zealand, then enjoy your Wednesday. Take care, everybody.